Even looking at the numbers, it says I think we're adding 800, to accommodate 800 additional students at the middle school right now, and only 150 at the high school, but it looks like the numbers are higher at the high school. Why are we not addressing the high school a little bit further?
Okay, sure. So when we looked at the whole plan, part of the concern is that when you look at the high school and you look at the middle school, accommodating the unhoused students, we know everybody has a seat, but according to the state of New Jersey, the unhoused students, the problem also that the middle school has that the high school doesn't have is in the common areas. The high school has 2 lunchrooms. It has more than 1 gym. It has large hallways. It has a common area. The middle school does not have those opportunities. We have half of our 7th grade, pardon me, a third, I want to say it correctly, a third of our 7th grade in trailers outside. So that was one of the reasons why they looked at that. I wanted to say, though, and I don't know if Dr. Higgins is still here because we've spoken at length, and he was willing to speak, but he may have, since it's such a late meeting, he may have finally left, and I respect him for doing so. We did have very strong conversations, and I actually had this conversation with Mr. Chake and Dr. Lehman as well. Currently, the way the plan sits, it has 6 classrooms. The reason why we didn't look at the expansion in more than 6 classrooms, and I did ask this question, is because in order to not touch the footprint of what will eventually be the tower, which is what it's been referred to, the tower would house approximately 1,000 children. It would have its own cafeteria, its own gym. I look at it as its own center, if that's the way the building principal wants it to go. You cannot expand the 6 beyond 6. I started thinking out of the box and saying, can we stick a hallway in? Can we make it 12? Can we expand it? 6 was the maximum number. At a very appropriate and a very small I don't want to say small because it was $5 million at the most, but a small cost in comparison to the tower being a lot of money. So then we started thinking a little bit out of the box. We did have this conversation. There is a 2-room area within the high school that was originally looked at if they were going to do the whole referendum about the high school that could possibly be expanded. We don't know if it's possible to be possibly as a stopgap or put into the referendum. That could be 4 classrooms instead of 2, 3, maybe 4. So that could bring you to 10 classrooms. The other reason is that, and I did have this conversation with Dr. Higgins because I wanted to make sure I was providing accurate information if I was asked this question. Also, when you look at the numbers of unhoused students, there is an anomaly that we have to bring forth for transparency that people don't realize. 300 to 400 students that are seniors leave for senior options, so they're not physically in the building. Additionally, we are working very diligently, and I want to compliment Mr. Moraldo in combination with Dr. Lehman as well as the other supervisors to start looking at even more of the dual enrollment classes. Dual enrollment is something that I am very passionate about. I spent my first 10 years of my career in Florida, and it was a very big push in the schools there as far as the community colleges. That is something that we're starting to partner. We just partnered with Delaware. You'll correct me if I'm wrong. We just partnered with Delaware, and we're looking to do that. What does that mean? It means that we also offer higher level classes for children, and they are not occurring in our building. So when I started to look at all these anomalies, I said specifically to Dr. Higgins, are we accommodating your needs? Because we're looking at this as a 5-year project. God willing, if everything passes, it could still be 2.5 years, 18 months, after referendum and so forth, after it goes through. And he said he feels very confident with the stopgap projects that he's starting to look at, and I'm going to be doing it with him because we were able to really expand the middle school with those stopgap projects, looking at the current 6 classrooms, as well as also looking at with DIG services to say, are there smaller scale projects that does not in any way affect future building of that tower? So I don't know if I answered all your questions.
Definitely that helps a lot.
Okay.
I guess, my next question,